time. It's time for every one of us. If we get knocked down, we won't just get up. It's time we all rise up. Rise up. When stars step up. When a dome stands up. When a city lights up. We all rise up together. Touchdown! When we come on the field, we rise up. Rise up. From kickoff to the last play, we rise up. This is our time, Atlanta. We've been knocking on the door. Now it's time to blow it up. Tell me, what do Falcons do? Rise up. What do Falcons do? Falcons rise up. That's what I'm talking about.
There is a flag down on the play, but it's going to be
going on, everybody? Checking in with Nate, Falcon edition. The Falcons won an ugly ball game to become the first place team in the division by a final score of 16-13. And to be honest with you all, this was a game that should not have been that close. It should not have came down to a game with a field goal. The Falcons offense, Desmond Ridder in particular, had 3 turnovers that could have cost us this ball game. We had a fumble at the 1-yard line. We had a fumble walking into the end zone that could have put the game at a 10-point lead. And there was another fumble that wasn't his fault in the second quarter, where Caleb McGarry just got absolutely destroyed on the play, and that cost 3 points on that drive. The reality is you take the wins that you're supposed to get. You're 2-0 in the division. You're 4-3. You're the only team with 4 wins in the division. So that's the positive. You won a road game that you needed to win to keep yourself in first place. You go to Tennessee next week, and then you come back and play the Minnesota Vikings at home. But first thing first, before I hit the comments, let me go ahead and get this out the way. A lot of folks, I've been seeing the comments for like a week, said that the Atlanta Falcons defense is overrated. No, they're not. Not at all. Because to hold that talented receiving core of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, that talented Buccaneer team, to 10 points, despite your offense giving up 3 turnovers for majority of the game, that field goal was late in the game. The defense played a great game from start to finish. You had the one mishap where Mike Evans burnt A.J. Terrell opening the game up to tie the game at 7. After that, they kicked 2 field goals. Your defense forced 2 turnovers. Your defense, once again, did enough to put you in position to win the ball game. The offense could have easily lost this ball game for us. And to be honest with you, me personally, now I have my ups and downs with Arthur Smith, but this might have been one of his better games that he called. Unfortunately, the offense had 3 turnovers. So although you look at the fact that the offense, he didn't have a bad game play calling wise, I felt that the game, it should have been a 17-point win. And that's just me being nice about it because that's 17 points left on the field. But let me hit the comments real quick, and then I get back to what I was saying. Michael Thomas, what's going on, my bro? He said Ridder had made a great throw to get us in field goal range, but we wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for his bonehead mistakes. That is correct. We would not be in that position if it wasn't for those idiotic mistakes. That first strip sack was simply not on him. Caleb McGarry had an awful game. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there as well. If you watch the game from start to finish, Caleb McGarry is not the right tackle of the future. I don't know why we paid him $11 million a year to get bull rushed by every single defensive lineman that he goes against. I'd rather Storm Norton get the snaps than Caleb McGarry. I'd rather you cut him. But other than that, that second fumble was on Desmond Ridder. And then the third one where he has an easy walk and touchdown. First of all, put the ball on your outside arm. When you're coming into the end zone and you know that you're going to be you in the end zone, you gave Antoine Winfield, who is a really solid safety, an opportunity to make a play. And that's what he did to keep his team alive in that game. So, yeah, I agree with that. And he said this is now a pattern. He leads QBs and turnovers since week 3. Yes, we've had turnovers in literally every single game, win or lose, since week 3. And you gotta calm down at this point. Thankfully, he didn't throw an interception, but those fumbles could have cost us the ball game. But it didn't. The Falcons found a way to win, which I'm glad about. Let's see. JD said, I'm not satisfied about the Art Smith ability to sit down with Desmond Ridder about those costly turnovers. This should have been a blowout. I just said the same thing. We left 17 points on the field. And it's simply because your QB's not finishing the play. To be honest with you, if the Falcons would have lost, it wouldn't have shocked me if Desmond Ridder got benched. And that's how bad this game would have looked for him, because this was one of your better play calling games where your defense do an excellent job keeping that Buccaneer offense in check after that one touchdown drive, and you would have put them in position to lose. There's no defending that. And he also said that's a serious problem. You have to address that with him. That's 2 weeks in a row, him making costly mistakes at left point. Yes, it's true. That is true, because the Falcons were in position to win the game against the Washington Commanders last week, but it came down to, us simply not executing last week. Desmond Ridder had a couple of bad interceptions, and today he had those bad turnovers. And it's dang if you don't, if you Desmond Ridder. Because at this point, yes, you are technically not a full season in as a starting quarterback, but these are mistakes that you cannot make. Because let's be honest, the Falcons might be the most complete team in the division. Yes, they're better than Tampa Bay. Tampa has better star talent, but to me, the Falcons have the better roster in the division, and the better roster prevailed. Thankfully, the Falcons found a way to win, because that would have been a very bad loss for the Falcons today. But again, those costly turnovers got to get cleaned up. We've had a turnover in every one of our games since week 3, and that is not good. Let me move on to the next comment. Michael Thomas said, shout out to Jerry Gray, Ryan Nielsen. These guys don't get enough credit. Let me go ahead and put that out there. Yes, AJ Terrell had his hands full with Mike Evans the whole game. Yes, he did. But for the most part, the Falcons defense did an excellent job. D. Alford had a solid game. I'm glad he finally got this opportunity to play in the slot. He should have been the slot guy last year. Jeff Okudah. This might be a hot take. If it's a hot take, you let me know in the comments. To me, Jeff Okudah has been the best safety on the team this season. Excuse me, it's the best corner on the team this season. Yes, AJ is AJ, but Jeff Okudah does an excellent job at what he does. This is what happens when you gamble on a player, and you don't have to pay the bag to get him. But Jeff Okudah might have solidified himself to pair up with AJ Terrell for the future. We'll see. But if I was the Falcons, I'm definitely bringing back Jeff Okudah going forward. Absolutely. Let's see. Young Kobe checking in. What's going on, bro? He said a big win. Yes, it was a big win for the Falcons. Tevin Ratcliffe said the defense is yes, the defense is pretty freaking good. For me, I still feel like the Falcons defense need a legitimate pass rusher. That's just my personal opinion. I know you don't have the, I want to put this. I would love for us to trade for Janelle Hunter, but you also got to look at the simple fact that you're trying to put yourself in position to win more ball games now and for the future. So I don't want to kind of I want to throw ourselves out there too quick. But this defense is really, really good. And they've been top 10 in scoring defense all season long. And I'm pretty sure their numbers are going to be better even today after this day. Let's go. Michael Thomas said, I said before the season, this was our division to lose. It is looking like that. Tampa's been pretty productive for this team. Like, it's been pretty productive for the team. And we just got to see what happens with this team down, as it goes. Let's see. JD said, how is Atlanta's defense overrated? It's people that are saying that. It's people that are saying that for sure. We haven't given up 24 points all season, but you know how that goes. He said, I don't have to say much. You pretty much covered everything. And Young Cope said 250, 107 QB rating is bad with no picks is bad. The problem is the turnovers. That's the problem to me is the turnovers, because of the fact the issue was the turnovers. He didn't play a awful game, but you cannot turn the ball over consistently like that. You cannot keep turning the ball over like that, and it costs us to lose a division game like that. But like I said, it comes down to the fact that the roster is talented enough to overcome all those turnovers. And I know a lot of people were asking about the Bijan Robinson situation today. He had one carry. reports were out that he was sick. But I got to give it to Tyler Algier and Cordero Passer. They both had a pretty solid day at the office in his absence. So, hopefully we have him back fully next week and ready to go at Tennessee. And let's see. Tevin said, my boy Jeff O is back. Yes, he is. Jeff Okuda is real good for the Falcons. Richie Grant, who I've been up and down with, had an interception late in the game that stalled a possible field goal drive for the Buccaneers. And, again, I think the turnovers need to be cleaned up. But once again, this is Desmond Ritter's third game-winning drive of the season. So your first road win, but you got to clean those turnovers up. If you plan on being the QB of the future, the turnovers have to be cleaned up because it's once you get against better football teams, that's going to cost you. The Commanders was not a better football team last week. We turned over the ball 3 times in the second half. Shouldn't have had that many turnovers. Today, we got away with it. And Kyle Pitts, I love the fact that big Kyle Pitts play happened on third and on that second down that put us in field goal range. And Young Oku kicked the game with a field goal. He's probably going to be in the conversation for the Pro Bowl this year for the NFC because that's his third game winning field goal of the season. But once again, the Falcons defense did enough to help us win this ball game. I don't want to get too hard on this team because you won the game. But at the same time, those mistakes got to be cleaned up going forward if you plan on contending in the NFC. That's what it comes down to. You have to win. You have to clean that up because, honestly speaking, the Buccaneers didn't have much of an answer for the Falcon offense when it was moving the ball. Those 3 timely turnovers stalled what could have probably been a 24-point showing for the offense, maybe even 27. The Falcons scored, 16 to win the ball game. You probably could have scored 30 today because you left 3 possessions inside the 20-yard line. You left one before the half. You left one on a Falcon turnover that they forced. By the way, the Falcons defense, who came into the game not forcing a whole bunch of turnovers, gave you 2. So the offense has to learn. They got to get it together. Because once again, the Falcons offense did not manage to score 20 points. That's a problem. You have too much talent on this Atlanta Falcon offense. You need to score 20 to win a ball game in the National Football League. But that speaks on how solid this Atlanta Falcon defense has been all season long. But you need to score 20 points at least. Make probably 24 to win ball games week in and week out if you're the Atlanta Falcons. It got to get better because as good as the defense was today, let me give them their credit. In the red zone, they locked in. That could have easily been a touchdown drive for the Buccaneers, and the Falcon defense stepped up to the plate. They also came up with a couple of crucial sacks to force a field goal attempt for them to tie the game. It could have easily been a touchdown, but the Falcon defense put you in position again to win the ball game, and the Falcons pulled it off. So much respect to the Atlanta Falcon defense. Way to find a way to win that ball game. You're 4-3 in the division. The rest of the division is either 500 or worse. You now got to start looking. You don't want to look too far ahead, but if you're the Falcons, you need to come with it next week at Tennessee. You have to come. You got to clean those mistakes up at Tennessee. This was a big NFC South game. You found a way once again. You're 2-0 in the division, and that's the win that you needed, especially coming off a bad loss against the Commanders. You needed to find a way to win the game, and you did. And I'm gonna hit some of the statistics real quick from that victory for the Falcons. Let me go full screen. Let's go to, as you see, with 16-13. Desmond Ridder only got sacked. That one time he got sacked was the strip sack before the half. And again, the Caleb McGarry had a horrible day at the office. Let me make that clear. But I will say this. I think Desmond Ridder did a better job getting the ball out in this ball game. I still feel like there's things he needs to clean up by himself, but he did a better job today getting that ball out. Baker Mayfield, 27-42 for 275. As you see, the Falcons had 38 carries for $156. They got back to what they do best, running the ball. Pretty good day at the office. They held Tampa to 73 yards rushing. That one, and really half of that was that big run on third down on the drive where the Buccaneers tied the game. So really got to credit those guys for the job they did today. Drake London 6 of 54 today. Tyler Algier 3 for 53. By the way, if Tyler had wheels on that 46-yard play, that might have been a touchdown itself. But Tyler, he did enough to win the game. Pitts 3 for 47. Scotty Miller had a 46-yard bomb that turned into a field goal drive for the Falcons. They got him the ball today. Again, the Falcons didn't play a bad football game. The turnovers kept this as a game that kept this game way too close from start to finish. That was the issue with the Falcons. As far as the Buccaneers, Mike Evans 6 of 82 for a touchdown. He had that 40-yard bomb for a touchdown. Chris Godwin had a 33-yard reception. Rashad White also got involved, but as you see, the playmakers did enough. The Falcons held another team to 300 yards passing, which is great. Now, here was the different right here, this part of the ball game right here. So Desmond Ridder had 3 fumbles. That's the difference of the ball game right there. The Falcons had the issue isn't even so much the fumbles, it's where the fumbles happen. It's literally you left 17 points on the field. The turnovers has been an issue since the second week of the season. They had turnovers against the Green Bay Packers. We just found a way to win. But the Falcons have to clean these turnovers up. A postseason team, if your goal is to make the playoffs, you're now in first place. If your goal is to make the postseason, these things got to be cleaned up and got to be cleaned up fast. And it's becoming an ongoing issue for the Atlanta Falcons. You lost the turnover differential, but you won the ball game. That got to be cleaned up. If this team plans on being good long term, that has to be cleaned up. I cannot stress that enough. Has to be cleaned up. And also, the Falcons have to do a better job in that red zone. They got down to the red zone. I'm not going to be as hard on Arthur Smith today because I don't think today was more on Arthur Smith today than it was Desmond Ridder. I thought Desmond Ridder had a very questionable ball game from start to finish. He was good at moments, and then he was horrible at moments. It was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So they got to be cleaned up if you're the Falcons. If you're the Falcons, your season's going to depend on that now because now you're looking at the situation from this perspective right here. The Falcons got a winnable game next week against Tennessee. But you can't put yourself in position to lose a game that you should win. You got to come back home and play the Vikings, who don't even have Justin Jefferson in 2 weeks. So these wins got to happen, and it got to happen now. Let me go to the comments. Michael Thomas said, Jesse Bates and our new defensive coaches have really helped Richie Grant go to that level. He's a lot better. Yes, he is a lot better this year. He's way better this year. I also have to say that Jesse Bates has been incredible for the Falcons. This is what happens when you pay your guys. The Falcons went out there the first day, spent that money on Jesse Bates, and the return has been absolutely amazing. He's all over the field. He makes big plays week in and week out. I am a huge Jesse Bates fan. I don't know how Cincinnati let him walk out the door. I don't. I really don't. And honestly, as a unit, the Falcons have been much better from start to finish. They've been a much better unit from start to finish. Terry Fontenot did an excellent job putting people in place to really be successful on this roster. And it starts from the new scheme, the new defensive coordinator, and all those different things. And Mike actually I'm gonna bring the comment up because I was gonna talk about him next, but Mike said in the comments. The next comment is Calais Campbell says a lot of juice left in the tank. That man is playing his tail off. Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney effect. Yes, it is. And I actually said earlier today that I really regret the fact that the Atlanta Falcons didn't have a situation where he could have been here a couple years sooner, because they have finally addressed the issue that they had year in and year out, the Falcons had an issue of Grady was balling and nobody else would. It would be Grady and then the next person can't get pressure. Calais Campbell and David Onyemata, who I don't think gets talked about enough, has been outstanding for the Atlanta Falcons. That defense it's been seen a miles way better. They've really been excellent for the Falcons on defense. The defense has been really the strength of this team. They've kept us in a lot of ball games. And I'm just glad that the Falcons offense found a way to win for that group themselves, because it would have been a very heartbreaking loss if the Falcons defense would have held this group to under 20 and you'd have lost the ball game. It would have been very heartbreaking. Let me go back to the statistics. As you saw, Devin Tompkins, Nate Landman, also. I know I'm going to show us statistics later on, but much credit to the Atlanta Falcons linebacking core. I still think we need a dominant linebacker, but Nate Landman and Caden Ellis has been absolutely outstanding for the Falcons defense. Both of them have made plays. Nate Landman forced a fumble today. Caden Ellis, who I feel is more of a pass rusher, but he makes plays too. The awareness of the linebacking core to me is really good, and I would love to see what it looks like once Troy Anderson gets healthy. But this group has been really good for the Falcons, especially that linebacking core. I got to give them their props. Let me go scroll on down to the defensive stats. And I just mentioned his name, and here he comes up on the screen. Nate Landman had 12 total tackles, 5 solo. Great day at the office for Nate Landman. Nate Landman he balled out last preseason. The Falcons had Rashaan Evans in that spot, so they didn't give him a lot of play last year. But Nate Landman made the 53-man roster, and I see why. Because at first I was like, why is he on the roster? I don't really see the potential in Nate Landman like the Falcons did. But the Falcons showed clearly that this is a reason that they're going after him. So much respect to the Falcons defensive coordinator for giving Nate Landman the opportunity, because he really deserved it. He truly deserved the opportunity. Okay, looking now, Richie Grant had 8 tackles. He had an interception as well today. He had a good day. Caden had 6 tackles. Let's see. Jesse Bates had 6 tackles. Jeff Okudah had 6. AJ Terrell had 5. Calais got a sack. David Onyemata got a sack and a tackle for a loss. Lorenzo Carter got a sack. And that's another thing. As you see, based on the statistics, I don't know if the Falcon fans realize the Falcons defense have forced 8 sacks in the last 2 weeks. You're starting to see the progression of this defensive line come to fruition. I still think the Falcons need that young, I got to double him pass rusher. You know, when I look around the league, I got guys like Hassan Reddick, I got guys like Brian Burns, who we saw earlier this season, who absolutely destroyed, what's his name? Caleb McGarry. Or Rashawn Gary, guys like that you know are going to make a play week in and week out. TJ Watt, guys like that. You want to see a team that is this talented up front, especially, have that guy to where on third down, we're bringing so much pressure. You have to double team him, and now we can eat. But credit to this Falcon defense. They've been really good all season long. On the flip side, Levante David does best. He had 13 tackles, 8 solo. Jamel Dean had 10 tackles. Ryan Neal had 10. Shaq Barrett had a sack. That was a strip sack. Antoine Winfield, he was all over the field today. He forced a fumble as well. So, you know, as you see the statistic line, it was a pretty good defensive struggle. Like it really was. For the Bucs, defense made plays that they needed to make all around. As you see, Richie Grant had a pick. Cordero Patterson had 1 kick return. Devin Tompkins had 2, only 1 punt on each side. Young Hoku kicked 3 for 3. Chase McLaughlin had 2 for 2, 3 punts each. And as you see, it was a good day. 65,000 was in the building for the game. And let me go to the team stats. So let's go starting here. The first downs were nearly identical. Tampa had more passing first down. We had more rushing first downs. The Falcons was 7 of 13. The Bucs was 6 of 12. The Bucs went for it on fourth down early in the game and didn't get it. That's another possession I think they wish they would have had back because that's 3 points you left on the field. The Falcons had 400 total yards of offense, averaging 6.3 yards a play, 245 passing, no picks, only 1 sack, a $156 on the ground. The Bucs had 73. We were 1 of 5 in the red zone. Now, that has to improve going forward for the Atlanta Falcons. You cannot go 1 and 5 in the red zone and expect to win ball games 90% of the time, but your defense did enough to win this game for you. On the flip side, the Bucs went 0 for 2. Great defensive game by the Atlanta Falcons. The penalties were even at 9-9. The turnovers, as we all know, was Atlanta lost turnover battle 3-2. And look at the statistics possession-wise. The Falcons' defense was on the field for 30 minutes a game, give 13 points. That should tell you what the kind of defense we have. A very good defense. The Falcons almost had the ball the same amount of time. So even ball game all around the board for the Atlanta Falcons. And Michael Thomas said, we said on the preseason show that we would blow by the 19 sacks we had last year. After today, we have 13. Yes. The Falcon defense has been great to this point, and I think they're going to be the strength of this team going down the stretch for the Falcons. But Falcons got a 16-13 win today to improve to 4-3. It's an ugly win. It still needs to be cleaned up. But as a Falcons fan, I am thoroughly satisfied that we won the game. We're in first place by ourselves. You now get ready for the Tennessee Titans at Tennessee. And you know you got to be ready for Derrick Henry and company. And you got to be ready for – they don't really have a legitimate pass attack. You got DeAndre Hopkins you got to worry about out there, though. That is one thing that you do have to worry about. But all in all, the Falcons are – they're on the right track. We got some things we need to clean up, but the progression is showing with this team. You're 4-3 through 7 games. You're in first place. You got 2 division wins. If you can find a way to win next week and go to 5-3, you are really setting yourself up for a potential run at the division title right now. And you got to get your wins while you can get your wins. Tennessee won't be an easy out. They always play competitive ball. Even though they're up and down this year, they're going to be a competitive ball club next week. So, again, much respect to the Falcons defense today. The Falcons found a way to win another game, a close game. I know we all, as Falcons fans, like, oh, my God, another game with a field goal that we have to deal with for this team. But, again, you win the ball games that you're supposed to win. This was a big win. Falcons are 4-3 through the first 7 weeks. And let's see what happens next week at Tennessee. I expect the Falcons win at Tennessee next week. If you're asking me right now, I think the Falcons can win that game next week and find themselves at 5-3. But everybody enjoy your victory Sunday. Falcons won, moving to 4-3 in first place by ourselves. Rise up until next time. This has been a Falcon edition of All In with Nate, and be on the lookout because my boy Julian's going to be back on the show soon. But I hit this right after the game was over, so let me go get my voice back. Until next time, rise up and go Falcons.
Can you feel it? It's time. It's time for every one of us. If we get knocked down, we won't just get up. It's time we all rise up. Rise up. When stars step up. When a dome stands up. When a city lights up. We all rise up together. Touchdown! When we come on the field, we rise up. From kickoff to the last play, we rise up. This is our time, Atlanta. We've been knocking on the door. Now it's time to blow